Last Pint Productions presents the New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content, and new episodes are released most Wednesdays. So back off, man. We're professionals. Listener discretion is advised.
So you were in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah?
Were you in the shit?
Yeah, I was in shit.
Last night, Darth Vader came down from planet Vulcan and told me that if I didn't take Lorraine out, that he'd melt my brain.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me. I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hello, and welcome once again to the New Way podcast, where we break down pop culture so you don't have to. And you know, I kind of regret that catchphrase because one of our guests tonight in the chat group constantly is like, well, who's breaking down pop culture for us? Because you guys barely record anymore. And now we're having to break down our own pop culture. Terrible. And you promised to break the pop culture down for us. So it's very difficult, but we'll hear more from that horse's mouth in a moment. First, next to me in the studio is Mr. Benjamin Scott Wilson.
Hi.
Hi, honey. And then joining us in from the greater Los Angeles area, Mr. Nicholas Santa Croce.
Correct. Pasadena is technically its own nomenclature.
I hate that word. It's there's no way to use that word non-douchely, right?
I know.
Unless you're a dude.
We just watched Raising Arizona for the first time with Amanda, and I've got the Cohen one-liners in the brain.
It's so good. God, that movie's great. And joining us, our special guest host coming in from Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, is Dr. Rick Bedoya. How you doing, Dr. Rick?
How's it going? Happy to be here.
Fantastic. In fact, and you're one of the few guests that has earned this. You have your own theme song, so let's hear it.
You got a sore throat, feeling sick, and a rash that's spreading quick. Good thing we have Dr. Rick. Yeah!
Not licensed in 47 states.
Hi, everybody!
That's you, buddy.
Hi, Dr.
It's a question. What 3 states am I licensed in? Because it's only really Pennsylvania.
Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Alaska.
The state of euphoria.
I was going to say Alaska.
Guam work?
Yeah.
Where was Saul Goodman licensed?
University of Samoa.
Yeah, the University of Samoa Islands.
I always love that gag. It's so good. Welcome, everyone, to the podcast. We're so excited to get back on air and record. What's been going on in everybody's lives? Let's hear. Nick, we haven't talked to you in a little while. How are things going over in the greater Los Angeles area?
Oh, Matt, just living the dream. Everything's great.
I mean, he had a girlfriend. He had a girlfriend walking around behind him. So.
He did. We did. We had an Amanda sighting back there.
I have to prove it every once in a while.
Well, it's good, and she gave us a great topic for a future podcast. So I'm super excited to get that one recording. So,
and she'll be listening to this on a ride home one day. So now she knows it's real and that she's committed.
Well, what's even better is that this is a very famous broadcaster cracked that nut many years ago of realizing that lesbians make ratings, and that was Howard Stern. Howard Stern famously brought lesbians on to boost his ratings. So I think it's about time we take a page out of that book, right?
Lesbian cinema is the topic.
Who doesn't love lesbians, right?
Next episode.
Next episode. Yeah, not this episode. That was our lesbian tease, as often happens to me online.
We did make a Saul Goodman reference, so I will mention we saw Maxine.
Lesbian tease is what I saw in your search.
It's true.
Your search on your phone earlier.
But yeah, we saw the third installment of the Ty West X series, I guess.
How was it?
And it's funny. Giancarlo Esposito plays Saul Goodman in this. It was kind of wild watching Gus as like a sleazy entertainment lawyer, kind of like in an alternate dimension.
And Nikki, can I ask you just a small favor? Can you pull back 1 inch from the mic? Just 1 inch. Pull that back. No, back. Away from it. Yeah. Perfect. This is great. This is how I want to watch the whole podcast.
So anyway,
doesn't it all look like you're being blown under the table?
I'm trying to adjust my angle for you, okay? And
this feels perfect.
For you listeners at home, join our Patreon for video uploads of the podcast.
What's great is you can see the underneath on the Patreon. You don't see Nick's face. You only get waist down.
Desk cam. So anyway, we both really enjoyed it. I think Amanda liked it a little more than I did. I think Pearl is still the best of the series, but it did a lot of things really well. All the influencers that I kind of trust typically were really into it at the first 2 acts, and the third act kind of falls apart. And I get that criticism. And it's probably kind of true, but I think it knew what it was, and I thought it was fun, and I enjoyed it. The one thing that I thought was really impressive that I think you guys would get a kick out of, it's a kind of a spoof of the 80s slasher genre.
Right.
So whereas like X is more like Chainsaw Massacre specific, this was like 80s slasher. Looks like we lost Dr. Rick.
We lost Dr. Rick.
I'll stall.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yes.
We lost the doctor.
No, it's funny. I haven't seen Pearl yet. Honestly, I need to I caught the first of the trilogy, but I've not seen the second yet. Or obviously,
like I said, X is really good if you like Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it feels like a kind of a send up, but it's not like amazing. Pearl is honestly one of my favorite quote unquote horror movies in a long time.
Pearl's awesome.
Nice.
I love Pearl. Mia Goth, as she kind of is in all 3, honestly, is like you can't look away. She's really kind of a force, but never better than in Pearl. And you get to see her wax with Superman, the new Superman too, which is kind of cool. But Maxine, right? The one thing I think Ben would actually really appreciate this the most. If I'm watching a modern filmed movie that takes place in the 80s, they haven't quite cracked that code yet. It always looks like fake 80s. It looks like the 80s cafe that Marty McFly would go into in the future. You know, like it's reminiscent of the 80s. I mean, I didn't look this up. It may have shot on actual film, but they nailed the film look. They nailed the art direction, the makeup, the costumes. You really buy that it's in the 80s, and that alone I think is worth watching it if you're kind of like a cinephile.
Absolutely, that sounds awesome.
Technically pretty cool.
We can keep on horror movies for a second here. There are 2 I want to talk
movies?
about. Horror movies.
Oh, no, horror movies.
We're doing horror movies next week. We already mentioned that.
No, we're doing horror lesbian movies.
Horror lesbian movies next. I mean, it's redundant.
That's a specific genre, you pig.
Very niche.
It's redundant. But no,
it is not redundant.
We just lost our whole lesbian horror.
No, wait a minute.
Listenership.
Come back to us, lesbians, please. We're so sorry.
Come back to us, horrors.
And that's the episode Matt and Ben finally lost Amanda as a listener.
I hate to break you. We also are submitting this for a potty award. This was the episode we chose, so we're going to really be fighting uphill on this one.
And it's going right down the potty.
For a lesbian horror potty.
It's amazing. Anyway, so 2 horror movies I want to talk about. One is finishing production, or has just finished production, which is the next installment of the VHS series. Yeah. But we get a Kate Siegel, who is she married to married to Mike Flanagan
or a partner with
and Mike Flanagan is super excited about this installment she's directing.
Justin Long directed an episode of it.
I love the VHS movies a lot. Like I find them very, very watchable, and I'm not a big horror guy.
Friend of the podcast, Kelly Krish, colored most of those films.
Oh, no kidding.
I think she actually had a session with Justin Long this week coloring.
I saw. That's right. I saw her posting about that she was working on that. But I love the first one of those series. I think is fucking.
She was
fantastic.
working on Justin Long this week.
Working with him in the edit booth. Is there any questions you'd like me to pass along to her?
To Justin Long?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any?
Ask him if he will be on the horror lesbian podcast.
Yeah. Okay. I'll pass that along.
Ask him if he considers all lesbians to be whores. As is he like-minded like us? Make sure, because otherwise it's gonna be really awkward to get him on.
I'm gonna
here.
guess no.
You're gonna guess no.
I
don't know.
I do really love. I do really love like the switch. At some point, his career just went to horror, and that's what he is doing now, and I kind of love it.
And like weird,
and now he's
interesting
directing
horror.
it.
Yeah. Weird, Barbarian, and man, what was the movie that Jimmy was in? Cabin Fever, right?
He wasn't in
Cabin
that.
Fever.
No,
Yeah,
but
he
he was in
wasn't in
Tusk.
Cabin
Was his first big horror
It
thing,
was Kevin Smith,
which is a great flick. But the other thing is the big talk of the town right now, horror movie wise, is this movie Longlegs. And I know Ben, you want to talk a little bit about kind of the build up to that movie because it sounds fucking amazing. But
I've never seen. I mean. Such effective marketing.
Marketing campaign was so good.
And Neon, so it's the highest grossing Neon movie of all time in the first weekend, which is
crazy,
insane. $22 million in the first weekend, and like Micah Monroe is obviously pretty well established as kind of a horror, mainstay now from It Follows and what she's on now. And then you have Nicolas Cage. But the marketing of that movie was done so well.
And if those of you who haven't seen, like they there's a great first trailer for it, but then they've also been doing kind of the guerrilla, sort of like Paranormal Activity did a similar thing for its marketing. But what they're doing, like they hooked up a heart rate monitor to this actress during the first scene where she's going to encounter Nicolas Cage's character, and she doesn't know what his appearance is going to be in it. So they have her outside the door, and she's got like her resting heartbeat's like 77. And then she goes through the door, and then they show you just see like he's sitting there, but like his face is blocked out by this big black box, and then her heart rate doubles. Like more than doubles, like goes up to like 170, and they're like, yeah, this is what we're doing in this movie. Like we terrorized even the person in the movie is like, holy shit, this is fucking wild.
So the director is Oz Perkins, the son of Anthony Perkins,
who, for those of you who don't know, played Norman Bates in Psycho.
Of course.
So
I think they did the same thing for Heidi Gardner the first time she saw Beavis and Butthead with Ryan Gosling.
That would be
her heart rate skyrocketed. She didn't see them in the dress rehearsal in full
Still
makeup.
one of the greatest live reaction shots of all time on a great show for things like that. Other just random things before we get into our very, very serious topic. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, I have something I'd like to mention. Really
okay.
Quick. Just because it has actually been on my mind for a while, and something I want to broach on the podcast.
Save it for the lesbian horror podcast. Is that where you're going? Is that where this is going?
Ben is a lesbian.
So obviously, I sound a little different now because of the way that my throat has been reconstructed, and I had a moment actually earlier this year where I wanted. I literally had a text in my phone where I said, I'm not going to be a part of this podcast anymore. I didn't want to talk on camera or on. I didn't want to have my voice out there anymore because of the way I sound now. And I was like, nobody wants. It doesn't really matter that much, not a big deal. And the only reason why I'm still here talking is because Kathy sat across from me and told me that I'm the smartest person on this podcast.
God damn it!
It's true. It's true. Well, I'll thank my mother. I'll thank my mother for you.
Well, that's all the time we got. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody, and go fuck yourself, Ben.
What a setup! Jesus Christ! Fucking A, Ben.
You're a real piece of work.
You're a real piece of work.
I will say, if Kathy is listening, people were very big fans of the Kathy Santa Croce podcast episode.
I'm just really mad that wasn't on actual air. Where she was like, "Man, you are the smartest person."
I thought it was on air.
No, it was not.
Oh Lord,
it was to my face. There was that
live to us. Yeah, you're standing next to her own son.
Yeah, there was that.
We all had superlatives, but Ben was the smartest. I don't remember what our superlatives were, but who knows?
Smelliest,
probably something like that. Loudest, most annoying.
Yep.
But, well, of course, Ben, we are always happy to have you on the podcast. And we can't do the podcast, but we've proven this. Nick and I have tried multiple times to do.
Can I say something?
You've tried and failed.
Yes, Dr. Rick?
As a listener, as a non-regular contributor, I would have to say it would not be the same without Ben and his insights and his pacing and for once, someone doesn't interrupt.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you, Dr.
So
Rick.
glad to have you on. Well,
guys, please. Rick, were you finished? I want to make sure you were finished with that thought.
Thank you, Nick. If anyone could, thank you. I appreciate it.
Is there a doctor in the house?
Is there a doctor in the house? I don't know. I'm not.
I'm a doctor.
No, but it wouldn't be the same without Ben.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Rick. God, this is going to be driving me nuts with the Nick and Rick in this episode. I'm not going to lie. It is already, every time I try to say name, I have to think extra hard.
Dr. Rick.
Because I'm not as smart as Ben, obviously, who's the smartest one on the podcast.
Dr. Rick, I actually do really appreciate that because, I was mostly serious on that point that I said. I mean, yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't think
you're the glue that holds the zaniness together.
The show doesn't work unless it's all of us. And Ben, you are
bedlam.
very instrumental in making this work. Otherwise, it's just two monkeys throwing poop at each other, which is Nick and me.
That would make a great podcast.
I mean, it's funny. It's funny for a little bit, but then you're like, but is it just gonna be guys throwing poop at each other again? And speaking of poop, by the way. How do you like that? How do you like that segue, Dr. Rick? So
beautiful.
I'm putting this on. This is going to be for a very small part of our audience to listen to this. But we have one of the New Wave fan groups. It's our high school group. We have a chat called Sentences That Shouldn't Exist. Is our we're on Signal because we're keeping away from the government. So we're all
is that?
We're on an app.
It's the sketchiest text app that's out there.
I remember that movie. The Signal. There was 3 vignettes.
Just a side note, real quick. My wife the other day goes, "What's that text app that you use with your friends?" I was like, "Signal." It's like, "Oh yeah, I just saw an article. It says things you should worry about if your spouse has Signal."
That's amazing. We are on. We moved from
things you should worry about when you're alt-right.
Well, we moved from
the number one thing is vetting new apps.
Yes. Well, we had a standard text chat, but one of our group, we won't say who, Mark, had an Android phone, and so it got a little sketchy. So then we moved to WhatsApp, and then Dr. Rick, I believe, was the one that was like, "No, guys, we were on WhatsApp for a year." And then he made us move all of us to Signal.
No, we weren't on WhatsApp because you wouldn't let us go on WhatsApp because you use it for work.
Yeah, but we were for a while, and I got annoyed being on there because it is where I do all my work stuff, and I didn't want to be like, listen, what I'm about to play, if I fucking play this by accident on work, I will not be able to do my work anymore. So anyway, I don't even figure out the seed of how this all began. We send voice notes out with random shit on it, and Rick is very good at taking those into GarageBand and making songs out of them. And I'm just going to play this for you I'm going to give you no other context whatsoever other than the name of this song of his. I'm going to give you just 30 seconds because it's all you can handle, is Phantom Poop. And this is a Dr. Rick. This man went to medical school, and he made this in his free time.
Pooping on the street. I'm just pooping on the street. Pooping on the street. I got arrested.
Phantom poop. That was a phantom poop. Phantom poop. That was a phantom poop. Phantom poop. That was a phantom poop. Phantom
Anyway, that was Phantom
Wow.
Poop. If you want to hear the full,
That's a fucking jam.
It's like a huskier early Lady Gaga.
that, by the way, that is me. That is my voice. Just so you
Those are
know.
all Shank
Those
vocals.
are all Shank vocals.
I'm gonna be singing that all night. Phantom Poop. What's a Phantom Poop?
There are a couple of others.
Didn't Billy Zane
into the
play the
beat.
Phantom Poop?
What's even better, we like this so much, we share it. Like every few hours, it'll pop back up, and then we say we cleaned up the end. Just hey guys, we cleaned up the end and put it back on. It's the same fucking clip every time. It's the whole 2-minute, 10-second version, and I listen every time someone posts it. I listen to the whole 2 minutes of this thing. It's ridiculous.
You get Mac and Mead.
I thought it was
It's a banger. It's a banger.
I just love the idea that we brought a learned man, a doctor, on the podcast, and I go, hey, we should play your song. He's like, oh, I gotta clean it up if it's gonna be on the podcast. I don't want it to sound like shit.
True story.
So he remastered it because it was a little hard to understand. So thank you, Dr. Rick. You are a gentleman and a scholar and a rap artist.
Dr. Rick, how many years did you go to school?
Too many.
I mean, even better, just to get into a little more of Dr. Rick's credentials. Dr. Rick didn't just go to medical school. You went to an undergraduate program. Then you got your master's in international business?
My degree's in international business,
Yes.
and then I went back, did a post-baccalaureate.
Scatological studies.
Called the pre-med. Yeah. And then medical school.
That's unreal. That is, yeah. So you were in school for like
Wait.
10 years.
So international baccalaureate, then you pre-jacked.
International business.
And then you
international business.
And then you
at Georgetown.
pre-jacked.
He pre-jacked.
Then I worked. Then I did pre-med. Then I went to med school.
Pre-jack.
Pre-jack.
Yeah. Jacked and then jacked.
Oh. Jacked it again. Yes, perfect. Yeah, so that was a Dr. Rick original, and you guys heard it here first. If you're on the Patreon, you can get all this great content. You gotta sign up there. It's only $1.
Extended length.
It's only $1. It's great. It's super good.
Well, let's talk about our topic.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get into our topic here. So the reason we have Dr. Rick on, well, not the reason. This was you brought up the topic.
We love Dr. Rick.
So why don't you were the one that kind of, I believe, suggested the topic, or did I say this made sense for you to do? I think you suggested it, right? Rick?
Did I don't know.
Maybe not.
I don't remember.
Or maybe it was Ben. I'm not sure, but
no, I remember Dr. Rick said, let's do an episode about Shelley Duvall, and then she died.
Oh no.
No, I think that was Nick arguing about Nashville and then showing him all the time.
Oh, right.
That's how that happened. No, so we wanted to delve into the space of medical.
But R.I.P. Shelley, though, to give her legitimate flowers.
I mean, if we're going to go into our R.I.P.s, we had quite a few. We had Shelley Duvall. We lost Dr. Ruth. We lost Richard Simmons, and we lost Shannon Doherty.
Yeah, Shannon.
And
the
tip
90s,
of Trump's ear.
Yeah. There were not a lot of great news this weekend, but yeah, we wanted to dive into, and I didn't even know how to describe it other than these are pop culture medical properties. So anytime that, whether it's a TV show or a movie or whatever, it happens, it's used as a set piece, is a hospital or a doctor or some kind of thing. And we figured what better topic for an actual doctor to weigh in on than what do you feel about it? So Rick, just kind of in general,
I'm genuinely interested if you ever watch any Grey's Anatomy, or if you watch
Dr. Vegas,
Dr. Pimple Popper.
If there was anything that you actually watched,
so
besides Scrubs, because we know you watch Scrubs.
So I actually never watched Scrubs. I probably would like it.
I tried to get Rick into that when he was in medical school. He's like, I don't want to watch this while I'm in medical school.
Yeah, it was too much. But I will say I did like House a lot.
Yeah, a lot of people like House.
Yeah, I thought House was great because it's medically accurate as far as the diagnoses and whatnot. But everything else is total bullshit. I mean, I've never broken into a patient's house. I've never looked under their medicine cabinet.
Sure.
I've never.
But you do always diagnose something as lupus before you find the real.
He's saying that here to clear himself.
Legally, he's not allowed to go to people's houses anymore.
He has the quotes thrown up. I have never broken into a patient's house.
Well, I can break into a patient's house in 47 states.
Right.
That's a callback. I will. I'll say that I liked House. When Grey's Anatomy first came out, I was about to start residency, and I was like, oh, it's a show about residents, and so I started watching the first couple of episodes, and then I'm like, this is a motherfucking soap opera. I was like, everyone's sleeping with everyone else. There's a McDreamy McSee. So I was like, I'm out. I'm done.
What you're saying, so in residency, people don't sleep with one another?
I mean, everyone loves General Hospital, obviously.
That pause was so pregnant. I'm pretty sure Tracy Morgan did it.
No, but I think House is pretty much the only one that I really liked, that I was really into. But
I always heard that.
Yeah, there's a lot of bullshit. I mean, it's.
Well, I heard back in the day, because it was the one that was like overseen by Crichton. I always heard that Chicago Hope?
No, ER.
Or ER was the one. I heard like those two at least at the beginning seemed to be more medically accurate in terms of things.
So, for those that don't know, Michael Crichton was a medical doctor before he was an author, and wrote.
As opposed to what kind of doctor?
Well, you could have a doctorate, or you could be a doctor of theology, and what a waste of time that would be, because that's a doctor of fake things. But anyway,
or like
by the way, I'm trying to lose. My goal tonight is to lose
Michael
every
Crichton
audience
worked in a
member we
fucking
have.
emergency
Okay, so we've
room,
lost the religious right.
We've lost the religious
We've
right.
lost the lesbians.
We lost the lesbian
whores.
Guys, we're not doing well.
Yeah, well,
but we're still doing
he works
great
in a
with
fucking
white
emergency
guys
room.
like us.
So no, I don't watch any of those like dramatized medical shows. I don't know. Personally, I just get enough of it in the hospital. I don't need to see like another sob story, another trauma case, or something like that. Every once in a while, I find like the reality doctor shows kind of interesting, just to see how phony it can be. Or like My 600-Pound Life, like if that flashes on TV, I'll like watch that for a second. Or Dr. Pimple Popper, those like TLC types of things, but because those are based somewhat more in reality.
Do you find when you're watching a movie or a TV show and a hospital scene pops up that you are like, are you taken out of it for a second just because you're comparing it, or do you just kind of treat it like anything else in a movie or TV show as just this is some sort of fantastical thing, so it's not like I'm not thinking about, oh, they did that thing wrong or they said the wrong terminology or whatever?
The only time it really takes me out is when they do CPR, because it's just so phony. I don't know if you guys have ever been.
You got to see Madam Web.
Madam Web.
You got to see Madam Web.
What do they do?
The best CPR scene that has ever been filmed in television or otherwise.
We will have to to Google
okay,
this
I'll
afterwards.
check it out.
Is there?
Yeah,
one,
I'll have to check it out.
For you, Rick, is there something you've ever watched that was so egregious that you were like, "Oh my god, this is like, it's completely ruined for me." Uh-oh. Freeze up? No. I put him on the spot.
He's deep.
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay.
Nothing that's like so bad. I mean, because the thing is, at the end of the day, when I'm watching something, I'm kind of there is a suspension of disbelief, and I just kind of say I just accept whatever they're putting on the screen.
Yeah, like at the end of Starship Troopers, where they're like stabbed through the chest multiple times, and they're just walking around talking at the end.
Yeah,
there was a guy
or like an alien, or like an alien drink.
Dr. Rick's like, I recognize that he got a degree from that Lovecraft college, but Dr. Herbert West does not have the know-how to bring a corpse back to life.
I did.
Miskatonic University, Miskatonic.
I listened to. I was listening to the Conan podcast the other day, and he had this guy on that was a former, he was a guy that for the Army would go. Not for the Army. It worked for the Canadian Armed Forces, and he was the guy that would go and kind of pre-set up things for when they were going to have like a deployment somewhere in the Middle East. And he was the one that would go. He's like, I would just have a backpack strapped on with, 200,000 euros or whatever it was, and I would go over there and I'm like, I've got to bribe these people and get our safe place set up and where we're gonna be able to stay, like all these like logistics.
He was like the primer.
Yeah, exactly. But he goes, I had to do actual, like combat training, and one of the things they talked about is they said they had to do so they do this like medic training, and he had to be one of the people that went in as like a fake patient. So he's like, I'm covered in blood, and a guy basically had to do. He talked about. He goes, have you guys seen the movie Three Kings? And immediately I was like, oh man, because it's one of the most uncomfortable scenes I've ever watched, where Mark Wahlberg has the sucking chest wound, and they have to get the a straw in it to get the air out. And he's like, yeah, so I've got this guy that basically had to almost intubate me while I was like awake and not hurt, and it's like an army medic with live fire going around because they're simulating a war zone. And he's like, it was the most awful feeling thing I've had in my life, because there's no like bedside manner in that thing. You're just basically like, I need to say, I'm going around triage to save people.
Was it someone getting intubated or someone getting a chest tube in the side of the chest?
He talked about the chest tube as like another thing that they were practicing on. He actually got, I believe, was getting intubated. Whatever.
Awake?
Yes, with no anesthesia. And he goes. Well, there was the name of the episode, I believe, is called a hint of lube, which is, he goes, well, there was a hint of lube used. And they're like, okay, that's amazing. But I thought that was funny, because Three Kings was one of those things that popped into my head of like medical procedures on film.
I'm somebody who gets a tube stuck down my throat pretty regularly, actually. And sometimes they don't have the lube. Which is kind of nasty.
So you request more than a hint.
Is that where they scope you like through the nose, like up the nose and down?
Yeah.
And I had that done in medical school or in residency, medical school. I was doing an ENT rotation, and the third-year resident was like, "Hey, do you want me to scope you up your nose?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" So it was a slow day.
Why not?
Just got the scope. He starts.
So it's voluntary. It's not like cops have to get maced before they go out in the street. Okay.
No, it's voluntary. I volunteer for a couple of different things to try things that patients complain about. I want to see, is it really worth complaining about? Because then I have to give them medication for the symptoms that they have.
Yeah.
And now I can tell you, certain things are total bullshit. And it's like, yeah, no, that doesn't hurt as bad as you say it does. But yeah, he scoped me up my nose, and I saw my vocal cords. He's like, I'm gonna go a little deeper. I'm like,
yeah.
Of course, I couldn't talk at the time.
They always go pretty deep. So.
Wow. Well, I was gonna say,
and they raw dog it with no lube.
Yeah, no lube.
Just a hint of lube. I was gonna ask,
no lube.
A little foreplay. They buy you dinner and a movie first. Or?
They put on some slow jazz, but other than that,
they spit up your nose.
That's so gross.
Spit on that thing. Is that still relevant? Octua still relevant?
I am trying to joke with like all of my doctors, and they're all just like, no. So, anyways.
Well, so I was going to ask you, Ben, similar question to Dr. Rick. You've obviously spent your fair share of time in hospitals the last couple of years. Do you find that it impacts when you're watching movies now that you're like more attuned to what you're seeing on screen?
I can't watch cancer movies anymore.
I had a feeling that would be a definitely a trigger for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's interesting. I'm sure you also are you like, oh, I know that like that area of that.
What about Deadpool, Ben?
That doesn't count.
Okay, I'm being serious.
Yeah, not like that. No, I mean like movies like 50-50 and
sure.
The Farewell and
I know there's a big one.
Well, and there's
the movie The Doctor.
I was gonna ask about that because that is on my list of movies. I used to love watching that movie.
There was a trailer that came out for a movie actually this week called something like we live in time, or we with Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield, and I couldn't make it through the trailer.
Wow.
I was like, nope, I can't watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Obviously, part of what we do for film is escapism, and like, I mean, and Deadpool is Deadpool's fun. Metered kind of thing. But yeah, it was interesting. It's an interesting question, Nick. I had a similar thought on that. So in terms of,
I mean, I get it. I can't watch Boogie Nights because the main character has such a huge dick. You know, it's just hits too close to home.
You can't watch Boogie Nights because of Mark Wahlberg.
That's also true. That
was really good.
Honestly, that and real quick as an aside, that's how good Boogie Nights is that Mark Wahlberg is playing himself, and I still wouldn't cast anybody else or change anything about that film. That's how good it is. That's how good it is. What? Say it. Say it.
What? Oh, boy.
Say it.
I was just saying, you played a man with a guy with big dick, so...
Anyway.
I hate Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg, if you're listening, go fuck yourself.
We lost him when I went after some of the other people this podcast, so
yeah, we did.
He's out.
That was actually funny enough. The other thing I wanted to mention before we even got into the crux of this podcast, Nick, I sent you a video. You saw that video of us playing at NEC's in Gainesville, Florida, right?
I saw the brief snippet, and I am still awaiting the full concert that I begged and pleaded with you to provide to me. My girlfriend is beside herself.
So one Luke Stevens uncovered a full DVD of a Gadwell Lane show.
Multicam.
And for our listeners, Gadwell Lane was the famous band that Nick and Ben were in college.
Produced,
for our new listeners.
Multi-camera produced and like full set.
Are there panties thrown on stage?
Yes, multiple times.
Are they Nick's panties?
No.
Okay.
Are the women still in them?
I prefer the term underoos.
But anyways, I'm looking forward to breaking this, or releasing this.
Are we gonna sell copies of this?
Yeah, that's on the Patreon.
This DVD, not a dead medium.
In all
we get a
seriousness,
sample during the horror podcast.
I
need this video. In all seriousness, man, I need this video.
And I'm really serious about this. I was watching it, and I was expecting something different because Luke showed up at my house, and I was like, "What do you want to show me?" And I was watching it, and I was like, "Fuck, we were really good."
Yeah, hell yeah.
And it's actually exceptional. Like the mix,
god damn it!
The mix is so good, and I was like, I cannot wait to share this with
Put
the
it on
guys.
YouTube.
Do you think?
We will.
Do you think you'll show the girls?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Luke like left a laptop out in the open in one venue.
Yeah, it got stolen
during a show, and we had every piece of footage we ever had of the band, and it got fucking stolen.
Yeah,
So
stole the laptop.
I've gone all these years thinking, there's just no record of like the best time of my life ever. Would never be able to see it again. And you just text me that out of the blue. So I'm dying, Ben. Like I'm honestly on pins and needles. So
like,
let me know what I need to do.
I watched
Venmo you.
I watched 4 songs, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, fuck.
I can rip that.
Went to a fit. It's so emotional.
I can rip it to YouTube.
We're really good.
Please do that.
Do you want? If you bring it over, I've got a DVD reader here. I can rip it out and put it up on YouTube if you want.
I think Luke's already made
rip
like
it
10
and rip
copies.
it. Okay, so nice. Anyway,
but when do I get it? Is the question? When do I get to see
Never.
Well,
God damn it.
Well, maybe you can figure this out off air, and we can get back to our topic.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, can we take this one offline, guys?
Guys, let's circle back
around. We got to download Signal.
Guys, let's circle back around. Get our low hanging fruit here. So in terms of I wrote down just a mess of properties to discuss here.
I had something to ask Dr. Rick about specifically. Yes. Dr. Rick, do you like Lost?
Oh,
I'm sorry, you cut out a little. What'd you say?
Do you like Lost? He's like, sorry.
Do you like Lost?
Lost.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I was addicted to it at the time.
What's happening here? Are you doing something?
He was addicted to it. Oh, you're talking about Ben.
No, I'm just asking. Ben, why did you ask this?
Well, Jack is obviously a doctor.
Jack is a doctor.
He is.
His father's a doctor.
He is.
It's a huge plot point of the show. I was just wondering.
Okay, it seemed like you were going somewhere with that, but I'm not.
He's baiting me. No, he's fucking baiting me.
I'm legitimately asking if you like Lost because.
Well, I guess the question is, did you like the last season of Lost and how it ended?
No, I didn't like that part, but I was very into Jack Shephard being a doctor and what he went through before he got on the plane and all that. Yeah, I like that backstory.
Like not being a doctor and not having gone to school for years and years, I always felt that Matthew Fox's like ER scenes did feel kind of natural. I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, it seemed it was believable.
Well, do you like one of the things they set up in Scrubs? I always thought was interesting. And I think I remember talking to you about this years.
It's that they can't do this all on their own.
No. It is the idea.
They're no Superman.
Yes, that's correct. It's the idea of surgeons versus doctors, right? Of the idea
that's
of
very much a thing.
Like that they are the asshole jocks of the hospital.
Well, they're definitely personality types. I mean, there's a great TikTok account. I'm not on TikTok anymore, but it was like Dr. Glockenfucken or something like that. And it's a joke. I mean, he puts out funny videos and he makes fun of all the different specialties. So like ER comes in with their bike helmet and their like biker glasses, and he's like, they're all like, yeah, I just went mountain climbing and blah blah. You know, like that's the typical ER guy. And then orthopedic surgery is just like, you know, dumb cavemen with, you know, hammers and nails and it's I mean it's great. Neurology makes fun of. I mean it's every specialty has its own, you know, generalization and it's a lot of it is actually based in truth.
Well, I think that's also what makes that Jack character work is he is the surgeon, so he is sort of the alpha leader in terms of like I'm gonna make the tough decisions and be the man of science and all of that stuff. I always thought that was a good dynamic in the show.
I feel like Superstore kind of borrowed that joke a little bit with the pharmacist.
Yeah, with David Wayne, right? Plays the pharmacist in Superstore.
Wait, no, David Wayne is in it?
Yeah, he's or maybe he's
what season?
Maybe he's the optometrist.
He's something else. I haven't gotten to him yet.
He works there in one of the like I think he's like the eye doctor.
Okay, I didn't know
he's
that.
funny. It's funny. It's a good show. Surprisingly good show.
I know.
Actually,
you're the person who told me to watch it. I actually just started diving in a couple days ago.
And I think one of our listeners. Well, I don't know how much Adrian listens, but Adrian was a big fan of that show. But so you did bring up the Doctor, Rick, which I always thought was a really interesting movie. I don't know, Ben, if you've ever seen it.
No, I haven't.
So, and it's obviously you're not going to watch it now.
Did we watch that in high school?
I watched it. We rented it once, and it's William Hurt, who is this ludicrously asshole doctor, but he gets sick and he has to be treated. Basically, becomes a patient, and that's the whole storyline. Basically, is this guy that is
I'm not watching that.
Insufferable, and then gains new perspective on things because he becomes the patient. But that was kind of one of the first things I watched. I remember that I was like actively kind of understanding sort of the inner workings a little bit of a doctor, or kind of how the personality types would be.
I have a funny movie that I watched that, or not funny. It's funny that this movie that I watched gave me some perspective on being a doctor, which was Patch Adams.
I have it on my list.
Yeah, it's on everyone's list. We have to bring it up.
Just because it's the humanism of medicine. I mean, there are some things that are totally harebrained about it, but the humanism in medicine is such a huge part of my motivating drive.
Yeah.
And that really shines through in that movie, and I particularly like that part.
I specifically put that on my list because this goes out to Casey August, who's listening to this podcast at some point this week. I have never seen Patch Adams because we were all going to go see Patch Adams one night in high school. And Casey said, I'm not going to see that stupid fucking movie. Oh, he's got a clown nose on, but he's a doctor. And he ranted this whole rant. And then he gave away the ending of the movie. And I was like, why would you do that? I distinctly remember this argument in my living room in Seminole Landing. And then we went to go see some shitty fucking movie instead. It was probably like The Saint.
Anaconda.
You know what you should do,
never saw
Matt?
Patch Adams.
Anaconda and the
Matt,
same
you know-
came out the same weekend.
Matt, you know what you should do is from now on you spoil every Phillies game going forward for the rest of the season.
Well, it is great. Casey also is someone who he even would he would not VHS. He would DVR spring training games and be like, "Don't spoil the score for me." I'm like, I'm not going to know the fucking spring training score. I couldn't spoil this for you.
I don't
if
think
I
the
was
players
being
know
paid
the score of the
to.
spring training game.
That would require work for me to spoil that for you. But yes, that's a good point. But yeah, I've never seen Patch Adams to this day because I was denied the vote in a group outing one night.
So the irony is that my sister, who is an OBGYN, aka a real doctor, Dr. Rick.
So is my wife, actually.
Was actually gonna call in and join us on the podcast. Just got called back for an emergency C-section. So
and I guess
so you just described why my wife is only a gynecologist now. She gave up the OB part because the lifestyle is just miserable, and the stress and the anxiety. Because once you leave the hospital, you're still thinking about the baby that's still in the hospital.
Yeah, of course.
Or not the baby, but the fetus.
I mean,
sorry, we just lost all our evangelical Christian listeners.
No, we were just burning through people tonight. Well, I'm also just like, so I guess this is more important than our podcast. Like, can't even just maybe in the middle call in or something. I mean, it's kind of.
Unfortunately, she's got to dial in on the next one. But when I asked her if she would join, I was like, you want to talk about medical movies? She was like, you mean like Patch Adams?
That's number one on everyone's list.
That was the only thing she mentioned.
What's funny is that I knew Ben probably had the same number one on his list as I did, and maybe even had the same number two. If we take our number one movie and number one TV show, I have a feeling we might have the same ones, but I'm not positive. But so what's your number one on your movie list to talk?
Wait, was Dr. Doolittle an actual doctor, or was that more like a Dr. Pepper?
He was.
I have that on my list.
He was a veterinarian.
He was a vet. He was a vet. Okay, all right.
Are vets called doctors?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. I mean, I know several vets as they were going through vet school, and it is intense. I mean, in many ways, it's even harder than medical school because I'm only studying one species.
Yeah.
I
mean, technically, some of the people you see in there aren't like real people.
They're more animal.
More animal than man. But well, literally the number one movie I put on my list was Dead Ringers.
Yeah, Dr. Mantle.
I knew Ben would want to discuss. But Ben, tell us what Dead Ringers is about. Nick, you remember we watched this together at the house.
Dr. Rick,
I have a faint recollection.
No, I haven't.
Have you seen Dead Ringers? Okay,
no.
Well, so it's David Cronenberg, who is a body horror director, and it's about identical twin brothers who are both gynecologists.
Oh, right.
Who kind of, well, let's just say experiment on the same woman.
Yeah.
I'm reading the summary right now. I just Googled it.
It's a great performance by Jeremy Irons.
An incredible movie.
2 performances.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an incredible movie. It's very disturbing. I highly recommend it.
It was funny because that was my number one movie on my list. My number two movie.
Well, there are surgery scenes in that movie that are just, they'll never escape your mind.
All right, I'll put it on my list.
Yeah, it's a wild movie. It's a very 80s movie, but
it's 89.
Yeah,
is when it came out.
But yeah, it's a wild flick. And it was funny. I'm going through my list, and I literally number one is Dead Ringers, and then number two was Airplane to talk about Leslie Nielsen in Airplane.
So you know who my favorite doctor is? Actually, and if you looking like
I assume it's Dr. Bill Cosby, right?
Dr. Huxtable was first. Was on my list, but no. And again, across movies, Dr. Richard Kimball. From The Fugitive.
Yes, I have that on my list.
I have that. Yep.
I feel if Rick was falsely accused of killing his wife, He would follow a similar trajectory.
You would
to
jump
Dr.
into a
Richard
river
Yeah.
and go down the river and then.
Well, no, I feel that he would be so compelled to help people along his journey
Right.
that he would endanger being caught at multiple times as he went around to hospitals and like tried to help people out.
He's so benevolent. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And he hates people that have lost limbs.
I appreciate that.
He hates one-armed people. Like really despises them.
Without a doctor, Indiana Jones would have never found the Grail.
Dr.
Well, he is
Elsa
also
Schneider.
Dr. Jones, but he's he's a PhD.
But Dr. Elsa Schneider, yeah,
both Dr. Jones and
not a medical.
I could almost reach it in the.
What about
not
Dr. Hannibal Lecter?
Not a medical doctor.
Elsa, give me your hand, honey. I can almost reach it in the.
Hannibal Lecter, not a medical doctor.
Oh no! Oh,
he's not a. Is he not a?
No.
A psychologist.
Psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist, not a psychologist.
He's from Baltimore too. Fun fact.
The real Hannibal Lecter?
Canonically, the character, the real fictional character, Hannibal Lecter, is from Baltimore.
That's the greatest sentence I've ever heard. The real fictional character.
He was a respected forensic psychiatrist before his capture.
Forensic psychiatrist. I don't think that qualifies.
A psychiatrist is a medical doctor.
Okay, well, fuck that.
You win.
Ben has no tolerance for doctors telling him what they know. It's like, no, fuck you. I know what I know, and you're an asshole.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
That's strangely reminiscent of a lot of conversations I've had with doctors.
Well, I have a question. Is Dr. Evil a doctor?
Ooh.
For all intents and purposes.
Well, that's a really good question, though. Is he... Does he have is he a doctorate, or is he just a completely fake doctor?
Well, you got to think it's a play on all the Doctor villains like Doctor Doom,
Doctor No.
Presumably, they presumably do have doctorates, but in this case, it's probably just a lampoon on the villains.
Be
but
great
I mean, Doctor No was at a doctorate, right? Doctor Doom, Doctor Victor Von Doom was a doctor or something, right? Wasn't he?
Is that the bad guy from Inspector Gadget?
That's Dr. Claw.
And Dr.
and Dr.
He
Claw.
was a doctor too.
Dr. Claw is an OBGYN. It's just that hand. He's just grabbing fucking babies out of there.
And Dr. Horrible has a sing-along blog.
Well, I do want to mention my favorite screen doctor, and he practiced it where he was actually filming his things was in the greater city of Ocala, Florida, and that is Doc Hollywood, played by the wonderful Michael J. Fox, who shot almost all of that movie in Ocala. And the reason I know this is because we used to go to this Indian restaurant in Gainesville, and they had pictures up on the wall of Woody Harrelson and Michael J. Fox, because they used to go and get hammered there at this like Indian restaurant at the bar because no one was expecting them to be hanging out there, and that was always their thing. But I quite enjoyed the movie Doc Hollywood, and a great note for Doc Hollywood: one of the few PG-rated movies with boobs.
Wow. Like Howard the Duck.
Yes.
Like Splash.
Well, no. Howard the Duck did not have... Those are duck boobs, Nick. Those don't count.
Boobs are boobs.
These are human boobs.
Boobs are boobs.
Well, all right.
Okay.
Oh, and I just Googled it. Dr. Doom technically does not have a full doctorate. He was in medical school when his face was scarred. He did not complete, but he was self-taught to the level.
He's a failed doctor.
He's not a true doctor.
I'm not calling him doctor. I'm calling him Mr. Doom.
Say that to his fucking face.
I sure will. It's his gross face that's hidden under that dumb metal thing.
I feel like we should reclassify this podcast as PG movies
the show
that had boobs.
It's fair. And
because
you know what?
Vanishing Point was PG and it has boobs.
Well, I will give them credit because the movie Cars stole the entire plot from Doc Hollywood.
I think you're onto something, Ben. I think you're actually onto something here.
Well, and I will say that the movie Cars stole the entire plot of Doc Hollywood, like part and parcel, the whole thing. And there's a joke in it where she flashes her headlights, and that is the boobs of the car. And as she puts her high beams on, so they really were like, you know what? If we're gonna ape Doc Hollywood, we need to take the most famous part of it, which is these boobs.
Wow.
So there you go.
Nice.
That's my dissertation. Anyway,
nice.
I have a question and a recommendation.
Okay.
Number one is the question: Do y'all have Shudder, or have you heard of Joe Bob Briggs?
I don't have Shudder, but you've recommended it to me, and I have heard of Joe Bob Briggs.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing Monster Vision, I think, on like TNT or something. This guy's been in the industry for a long time. His whole thing is the drive-in will never die, and he has this encyclopedic knowledge of all the films that were shown on drive-ins, especially the schlocky horror. Right? So it's a variety show. It's a lot like what's the Chicago guy? Like kind of like the late night horror host.
Yeah, they ape in Gremlins 2, and
what is that guy's name?
I know who you're talking about, but
the famous guy. Anyway. He's a show called The Last Drive-In on Shudder, which is kind of the reason why I subscribe to this service, and it's worth it, for that alone. Love this guy. You'd love him too. I feel like he sort of, in a lot of ways, embodies a little bit of Hoot.
We watched some of it together. Like I had it for a little bit, but yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, he's fun. But anyway, the latest episode, and my girlfriend Amanda and I love this guy, and we watch all of these episodes. And the latest episode does Dr. Giggles, which is hard. Listen, and it is unhinged. We didn't finish it yet, but it goes: a madman who believes he's a doctor comes to the town where his crazy father was killed, and soon begins murdering people and becoming infatuated with a teenage girl with a heart condition.
I think I have seen so famously, for me at least. As a
Larry Drake, that the kind of a famous 80s.
Yes, he was Benny in L.A. Law. He played the guy with Down syndrome. I know this movie because God, it all comes back to tits. I'm so sorry, but it does. When I would have like hangouts with my friends in like 5th grade and 6th grade. This is pre Dr. Rick era. Although I will say Casey and Mark and I also rented, like we moved on to more of the overt sexual thrillers, but it used to be like, if we want to see some skin, we would rent something like Texas or the what's it called, Slumber Party Massacre, or like all of these like schlocky horror movies, because there was guaranteed to be at some point some woman undressing in the.
And now these fucking kids have Pornhub.
I know, yeah. Like it was the Sears catalog and Dr. Giggles, starring Larry Drake. Like those were the choices I had back in the day. But that was funny, Nick.
Murderer's Row.
And what is your comment, Nick? That was your question. What is your comment?
Well, my question was, do you have Shudder? And my suggestion was Dr. Giggles, starring Larry Drake.
Highly sought after film. You should definitely. Well, Larry Drake also was the bad guy in Darkman.
Yeah. I mean, he was a character actor that got some play for a while there.
Did good. Well, I just love, he would always, whenever he did movies, he always played like this very assholey, gross villain, because he tried to distance himself so much from playing this like Down syndrome, mentally challenged guy that was like this. And he's like, I gotta, like, that's all people knew him for. It's like anytime you get a movie,
intellectually
like,
disabled.
Is that what did I say?
I don't know.
You kept saying
mentally challenged.
It's hard because I'm only seeing your image, like your static image. I can't see your video. So when your voice comes on,
Dr. Rick is off cam. There he is.
It's just all of a sudden you hear a voice like, you said the wrong thing.
My internet was acting up, so I had to do something.
The word is vagina. Use it in a sentence.
Intellectually.
Dr. Rick is saying you shouldn't say that way.
Do you guys have a favorite hospital scene or moment in a movie, or a funny moment, or a big splash moment that you like to?
I personally love, and I know a bunch of people don't love the movie, but I love the moment in with the cover match in Doctor Strange, where he's trying, like, ghostly on the other plane, trying to coach Rachel
with Michael
McAdams.
Stolberg,
and Michael Stolberg, but trying to coach Rachel McAdams to perform on himself.
Yeah,
that was a cool.
That's a great scene.
I really love that scene.
How about you, Nick? Do you have a moment, a thing in a movie you like?
Yeah, I like when Steve Martin was singing about why he became a dentist.
It's perfect.
That's probably my favorite.
I love that. How about you, Rick?
Pretty much any Leslie Nielsen scene in Airplane.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's hard to go wrong.
Don't call me Shirley.
The one I threw on here is in a movie called Rules of Attraction, which I quite enjoy. It's a Bret Easton Ellis adaptation. But there's a scene where this kid thinks he has overdosed, and the friends bring him to the ER, and they think he's dead, but he's alive. And the ER doctor's this like dry deadpan. It's like, bring your friend's corpse back so that I can operate on, so I can autopsy him. And the guy's like walking around completely up. But a very, very funny moment in a movie that I quite enjoyed that's hospital related.
Can I update my answer, actually?
Yes, sir.
Tom Cruise saying Fidelio in Eyes Wide Shut.
Fidelio. Boom.
I love Eyes Wide Shut. So.
Eyes Wide Shut is a good one. Well, and Ben, I have to with you obviously bring up one of my favorite medical dramas that so reminds me of you, which is the movie Awakenings. Which was, and Awakenings might have been even pre The Doctor in terms of like a medical drama that took place about a real story. But for those of you that are new to the podcast or don't know, Awakenings is this true story about this experimental treatment they did with long-term coma patients, and they gave them this L-Dopa drug in this right amount, and for like a month they woke back up and they were doing it. And then it's very sad at the end of the movie, the drug starts wearing off and they start like losing their ability to like communicate well. And I always said that Ben was drunk Awakenings. If Ben has too much to drink, he starts losing the ability, and it happens very slowly. So it is literally like the last 30 minutes of Awakenings. But it's one of my favorite. You and my brother actually both do the Drunk Awakenings, which I quite enjoy. It's one of my favorite things. So had to bring that one up.
And Matt, you just get louder.
I do, which is amazing because I'm already starting at about an 11. So then it gets worse, progressively worse from there. I'm trying to think of. I had MASH on here. If we're going to talk about TV shows.
So if we'll talk about MASH though, that's its own thing. The military side's really different, I think.
Yeah.
Just talking about. I love MASH.
Yeah.
MASH is a great show. I don't consider it a medical show though.
Interesting. I get that. That makes sense, but I can see your point.
It's not ER. It's not Grey's Anatomy,
yeah.
It's not Scrubs.
Not Saint Elsewhere.
It's no Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil. Fuck.
But who else is?
What else do you guys have on your? I'm trying to look through my list here. I just
do you want a quick little fun fact?
Yes, sir.
Hugh Laurie's first appearance in anything was as a doctor, and it was in a music video for Kate Bush's Experiment 4.
Wow.
Fun fact.
How the hell did you happen upon that fact? What are you looking at?
I knew it.
Okay.
I knew it. I knew it.
It looked like you were Googling things right now. I'm like, how did you just pull that random? Like,
I'm a bushhead. He just in one shot. It's this crazy like song that has this ridiculous story about how the sciences and the government are working together to create a sound frequency that can kill. And the sound escapes the soundproof booth and just travels and kills everyone. And one of the first people it kills is a doctor on the first floor of this facility. And it's Hugh Laurie just like macking at the camera and screaming and falling to the ground. It's pretty funny.
Love it.
I will.
Is that what happened in Cuba?
I will throw out an underrated doctor performance.
Okay.
Which is Will Smith as Dr. Amalu in Concussion.
That's a very good movie.
Very, very good performance. Very good movie.
Never seen it.
I did. I actually quite enjoyed he has a pretty decent Nigerian accent. Although
feel good rum.
He got made fun of a lot because of the "tell the truth."
Yeah, he hit it on a few of them, but I like that one.
Yeah,
I did want to talk about one of the few doctors turned actors and comedians who has some funny moments in some movies, which is Dr. Ken Jeong, who made quite a career going.
He was an OBGYN.
Yeah. And then famously played one in Knocked Up and and now has an entire film and TV career. Ben's shaking his
and,
head.
and then shows Dick, and he was like, "You want the fuck, man?"
I mean, listen, talk about a career pivot. This could be Dr. Rick in 10 or 15 years.
I love Ken Jeong so much. I mean, that guy is hysterical.
Oh, I thought you for a second. I thought you seemed like you were not.
I love him.
I got the head shaking on there. My parents watched St. Elsewhere when I was a kid, so I grew up a little bit on Ed Begley Jr. and William Daniels and some of those folks in that show. And I always heard that was fairly accurate-ish. I don't know. It's not in our age range really on here. What else did I put on here? Why did I put this on? Oh, I put Fear and Loathing on here. I guess because...
Why?
I don't know.
We covered that pretty extensively.
Are you guys watching
episode?
Are you guys watching House of the Dragon?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have not seen last night's episode though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay then. There's a Maesters scene where there's
where they're peeling off them. Oh yeah.
And where they're applying things, and it's just like there's definitely like some doctoring going on. I thought that was interesting.
Well, that was they did that in Thrones where they to get rid of the grayscale, which I couldn't watch.
Yeah. Well, same principle applies, and I thought it was interesting. I was watching it as well, and I was like,
That is it's interesting that is a niche of this genre is the historical medical talking about.
Well, I mean,
fake historical.
Yeah.
Poor Things delved into that pretty extensively.
Yeah.
I mean, Willem Dafoe's character is like this deformed doctor who is basically at the advent of surgery, and they're showing him in like collegiate presentations and.
Well, yeah, and there is all of there is kind of the horror aspect of
Dr. Moreau.
Dr. Moreau, the island of Dr. Moreau is a God. I didn't have that on my list. That's a great one, Nick. Dr.
Zhivago.
Dr. Mario.
Boom. I literally had the full song of Dr. Mario pop right into my head. No,
Dr. Frankenstein. This one's for Casey.
Here we go.
This one's for Casey. He wants literature mentioned, so Dr. Frankenstein.
Dr. Victor Frankenstein.
You can check the literature box this week.
Yep. Well, Dr. Frankenstein.
Well, it's right. There's Frankenstein, and Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
So it's really interesting because there is a lot
Dr.
of
Hyde or Dr. Jekyll.
There's the horror niche of Dr. stuff, and there's a great Tales from the Crypt episode that I always liked that's doctor related, where this woman wants to be she's trying to sign up for this beauty pageant thing, and she winds up killing her rival off to be able to one that's picked for the pageant, but it turns out it's for like a doctor's like convention, and there's like splaying her open. It's basically to like display her inner organs to be shown at like a medical conference.
Like that's what what she's.
Yeah, she doesn't know. She doesn't know what it is. She thinks it's an outside beauty thing, but it turns out to be like the whole gimmick is it's inside beauty that is the most important thing. And she ignores that because she's a bitch.
Well, that is a whole like sub genre of horror, and not just body horror, but like specifically doctors. Like what's the dentist movie? Is it safe? Is it safe?
Teeth.
What was that?
Oh, not teeth.
Right?
No, there's one called Dentist. Called Dentist, right?
Teeth is the vagina, not.
Yeah, there's one called
Little
Dentist with Steve Martin. That is the dentist. The other not.
That's Little Shop.
No, not Little Shop. I'm telling you, there's another one. Hold on.
Wait, Steve Martin's in the other dentist movie?
I know, Matt. That's Little Shop.
I was like, Teeth is a wonderful movie. That's definitely not
safe.
There's the dentist, Corbin Burnson, and then there's another. I gotta figure this out.
Oh, that's the starting pitcher for the All-Star team from the Baltimore Orioles.
There you go. It's perfect.
There's also like when you think about Repo, the genetic musical, that had quite a bit of like the whole song about surgery in the future.
Do you remember that I actually got you free tickets to go see that live?
Oh yeah. Me and Mike Morani went like the opening night in a tiny theater in West Hollywood.
And Nick, show some respect.
Sunset 5.
It's the genetic opera. It's not a musical. All right.
I said genetic opera.
Is the genetic opera.
He said musical. I want to show it the respect.
It is a musical, and the title is genetic opera. Jesus Christ.
I just wanted to make sure it got.
Listen. Do you think Paris Hilton has an operatic range, Matt? For God's sake. She can be in a musical, okay? Anybody can be in a musical.
She was in a musical?
She was in one video I saw.
There was music playing.
Huh.
Yeah,
It was music to your ears.
Ben just gave the most lukewarm laugh I have. He just goes, huh. Please rewind back.
You get what you fucking deserve.
Please rewind back 15, 30 seconds right now. It is so quiet, but he just literally goes, huh.
Get that drop.
All he could muster, huh.
Get that drop.
Does not care for the Paris Hilton humor. Not one.
You need to isolate that.
I did have Fugitive on here. I did have Dr. Dolittle. I had Doctor Strange. What else?
I like that laugh.
Dr. Fraser Crane.
Oh, I did not put Dr. Crane on there. That's a good one.
Dr. Herbert.
Dr. Crane, a medical doctor
from The Simpsons. Not Dr. Nick.
Yeah, I have the Simpsons and Family Guy doctors. Like
yeah.
I put both.
Let's see. Is Fraser Crane a real?
Yeah, he's a psychiatrist, isn't he?
Yeah, it's psychiatry. He has to be.
No,
I've already established that psychiatry is not real medicine.
They go to medical school. We all think the same thing in my profession, but they still go to medical school.
I meant this to be like is he like officially a doctor or a doctorate? But so I forgot in this browser, the one I use for this is like my garbage browser, and the search engine is Bing, and I always find it funny to Bing things on this because it's terrible things. So I go, is Fraser Crane a real doctor?
I always thought it was funny.
Well, hold on. It's I binged is Fraser
Nick,
Crane.
the setup was like 2 minutes long. Let him finish.
Is Fraser Crane a real doctor? And the number one thing they put up is no. Fraser is not based on a true story. That's what Bing thinks people are like. Boy, I was watching Frasier the other day. This seems realistic. This must be based on a real story.
Listen, if Alta Vista couldn't beat Google, how is Bing still a thing? I'll never forget when they rebooted Spider-Man with Garfield, and it was Sony, and they had like some stake in Bing, so he's like in the lab like using Bing, and I'm like, not my fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah. People railed against him. Like, this guy's supposed to be one of the smartest people in there. He's not using Bing. No one
he's
uses
using Bing. Hey Bing, how do I make web fluid?
The people using Bing are the people that are like, is Fraser a real person? Like, that's what I'm getting here. This is wild to me. Like, this is unbelievable. And they have this. It's big. No, Fraser Crane is not based on a real person. Thank you. You're welcome. That's unbelievably great. Anything else before we of course we're going to listen to the Phantom Poop before we sign off again, of course, but
maybe one last send up to Dr. Ruth, who not only in the memoriam but relevant to the episode.
That is very true. One of the most famous real doctors.
Are there any deaths we can
Well, I was actually going to ask Dr. Rick, not to predict a death, but are there any doctors in real life that inspire you?
Dr. Ben Carson.
So actually,
not a real doctor.
So I will say the one, it's a book, When Breath Becomes Air. It's Paul Kalanithi.
Are you binging when
I just binged it? I just binged it to remember his name. But Paul Kalanithi, he was a neurosurgery resident, and he actually. So again, this is a book you're not going to want to read, Ben, in the same vein. But he developed stage 4 metastatic lung cancer, and it was written posthumously. He kind of started writing it, and then his wife finished it and published it. But I listened to it on a car ride, and I mean, I was sobbing. But it was amazing. It was an amazing story, and I found that interesting, inspiring. And to be honest, in real life, my grandfather, who just passed this past year, he was 98, but he was an internal medicine doc. He is kind of what inspires me to be the best doctor I can possibly be every day. My most valuable keepsake in my possession is his doctor bag that he gave me, his original doctor bag from the 1950s.
Wow.
From University of Michigan when he was a trainee there. He took it on every house call in Paraguay, took it, everywhere he went. And when he knew his time was running short, he presented it to me as a gift. And he could have given it to, he has 2 sons and a daughter who were doctors. I'm not the only grandchild that's a doctor.
Yeah.
He could have given it to many different people, and he chose to give me his doctor bag. So for me, that was probably the most inspiring thing. And it's in a special place in my house, and it's just, it's one of my most valuable possessions. So yeah, that's
awesome.
that's who inspires me.
Fuck yeah, man.
Do you, similarly, kind of piggybacking off of that, do you, in terms of like famous, celebrity doctors that are out, like we talked about Dr. Ruth, are there like
Dr.
are
Oz.
there doctors?
Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz.
I was gonna say, are there doctors you
Dr.
hate?
Dr. Drew.
Well, are like obviously the ones you
yeah,
probably
no,
hate
I
a lot.
hate-
So Rick gives us this poignant, meaningful. You're like, "Now, can you tell us what trash TV doctors you like?"
Yeah, Nick. I know our audience, right? We've lost almost everyone. We don't have any intellectuals left. They don't fucking care.
Everyone just turned to the next.
Yeah, they don't. This is for our rabble that are out there. Come on.
All right. Yeah, Dr. Oz was like a witch doctor, snake oil salesman. It was an embarrassment. I would say a good TV doctor is Sanjay Gupta. I think he's legit, and he has the best interest of people in mind when he presents things. I think he still practices.
Theodore Geisel?
God damn it. Dr. Seuss. Fucking Nick. Also, that guy was a sex maniac and a pervert and a bigot. But anyway, that's for another story.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Dr. Seuss, not a good guy.
It's like the other side of Never Ending Story, where it's like, but that is another story.
He was a piece of work. I was thinking of one just a second ago, but then Dr. Seuss popped.
There was one that recently caught my attention, which was Dr. Arroyo on Conan's Hot Ones.
God, that was amazing. I love the history. I listened to it
that was really good. And then Conan had him on his show as a guest.
The fake
afterwards.
was so good.
Leonard McCoy.
Doc Bones. Yep.
No, Star Trek.
Yeah, Bones. That's what I said.
Bones?
Bone. His nickname is Bones.
Oh, Bones. Oh, I got Bones. I thought you were talking about like David Boreanaz.
That was the worst.
Was
He was
Dr.
on First
Spock a
Routine.
doctor?
That was the worst. He was a doctor. He was not a medical doctor. Spock was not a medical doctor.
Ask Bing.
Wait, is Bones about doctors?
No.
No. God damn it.
That's what I thought. Okay.
It's Little Shop of Horrors.
Before we close everything up, I do think we should say it is interesting that Michael Crichton, one of the top 5 selling
Someone's
authors,
got a boner for Michael Crichton.
literally of all time, was a practicing ER doctor and was also operating in the ER and then went on to become one of the best-selling authors of all time.
I gotta
Jesus, save it for the Michael Crichton podcast, Ben.
Guys, I think we have a new segment on here, by the way, which is Bing search engine results, because this is amazing. So I typed in similarly, is Spock a real doctor? And boy, they let me know right away. Fictional character is the giant headline answer. Spock is a fictional character in the Star Trek media franchise. This is the greatest search engine ever.
Now I know what it's like when I'm not on the podcast.
This is unbelievable. Wait, give me something else to Bing. What is it? The dumbest answer you think it can give us? What's a great question for Bing before we go out here?
How
Doogie Howser
many?
Double penetration.
just double penetration?
Yes.
Nothing else?
That. Yeah, see what happens.
Oh, God.
He's doing it.
Oh, I misspelled penetration.
Yes, that is a thing.
Oh, wow. Right. Number 1 X videos. Oh, boy. They get right into it. I will say, all right. No safe
I guess we found out what Bing is good for.
Guys, I'm going to need a couple minutes here, but I'm going to keep...
Remember, I can still see your left hand.
Yeah, Matt has
Lesbian whores.
Matt has to ping me a few times.
Oh my god! What? This is the worst. Worst.
And cheers.
I know. Well, first of all, we're not getting out of here without here. So we do want to thank Dr. Rick for joining us on this podcast, and for, of course, his secondary career when his doctoring falls through, and he's found out to be a fraud and not actually have a medical degree. He will take up his R&B persona, Drick, and play hits such as Phantom
on the street. I'm just pooping on the street. Pooping on the street. I got arrested.
Phantom poop. That was a phantom poop. Phantom poop. That was a phantom poop. Phantom poop. That was a phantom poop. Phantom poop. Oh my gosh, there is no poop.
I mean,
Is that
So I
the
can
whisper?
already-
That's the whisper effect, is it? Or the Tsar box from the original Mac?
So I can't reveal my secrets, but I can already tell.
Fair enough.
I can already tell things I want to add to it. As I was listening to it, I was like, oh, that would be really good.
you're a regular Moby over there, just like, oh man, I could produce the hell out
you're
of
like,
this.
oh, man.
This is just the jumping off point. I love it. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Rick, and providing your
was
unique
my pleasure. Thank you
perspective
for having
and
me,
music. Always good to see you, Nick. And we record when we have time. We will probably record. Do we think we'll do something on the weekend? The weekend?
Not sure.
Maybe. We'll see.
Does it fit into most Wednesdays? So
It
back
does.
off, man. We're professionals.
That is correct. As I say, boy, I will say between you and Patrick,
Yes,
the anger of not posting gets.
You just need to change the intro. Change the intro.
It's we are still more Wednesdays than we're not.
We're going to record something with Eric from Beer
Should it be
Beforehand.
mostly on Wednesdays?
God damn it! No. Go. We are in episode 229. We are most Wednesdays, for better sometimes. God damn it! I hate this. Anyway, thanks for listening to my podcast. We'll talk to you next time. Cheers.
Cheers. Phantom poop.
Phantom poop.